Hi guys, and welcome back. It's your girl Yummy.com. Thank you for coming for another video. And it is Women's History Month. Yes, and really, Women's History Month is all about celebrating the boss bitches that we have that inspire us, inspiring women to inspire inspiring women. And with that being said, I wanted to shout out some of the best pieces of literature. By literature, I mean speeches, and by speeches, I mean speeches made in the 21st century, most likely 2017 to 2021, and just made that inspire me every day. When I wake up and roll out of bed and I'm like, I just want to go back to sleep. I don't want to go to work. And by go to work, I mean roll out of bed, take a shower, and then sit at my desk and work. I put on a speech, one of these speeches, to inspire me to move on with the day and keep pushing. First speech we're going to talk about is one of my favorite speeches. It is a TED Talk. I know! You thought we were going to go on this list and have a TED Talk. You thought wrong. There's no speech list that is not complete without at least one TED Talk. And this TED Talk, though, is by our Night King Slayer, which is, fun fact, what my phone calls me. Hey Siri, what's my name?
You're Masie, but since we're friends, I get to call you the Night King Slayer.
See, even my phone thinks it's dope. Anyways, what I'm saying is that she is the baddest bitch. She in Westeros, okay? Or beyond Westeros. We are talking about Arya Stark, Maisie Williams, the actress who plays her. She had her own TED Talk, and I listened to her TED Talk religiously. Now, I don't listen to a lot of TED Talks religiously. Don't get me wrong. Some of them seem a little bit preachy and are just out of my wheelhouse in general. But her TED Talk moved me. She talked about how she wants to be a dancer. There's literally this quote that I use it as my Instagram caption. But also, like, I think about it every day, and it's when she was talking about being extraordinary and about how she felt just ordinary.
Everything about me was pretty damn ordinary, except for how I felt on the inside.
And it moved me. I remember the first time I heard it, I was walking, because we were in the middle of a pandemic, of course, going on one of my daily walks with my mask, and I was like, ooh, Game of Thrones is over, I wonder what Maisie Williams is doing. I googled her name into the YouTube algorithm ether, and she had a TED Talk, and I listened to it as I was walking by my neighborhood pool, and it just moved me. All the things she was saying, all the storytelling behind it, it felt different than every other TED Talk. Every TED Talk is a story, but her story felt somehow real, and it takes a lot for me to relate to someone who I don't know, A, and then doesn't look like me, B, and I just related to that feeling of not understanding how truly extraordinary you actually are.
The very fact that I'm here giving a TED Talk right now is so far from anything I thought that I was capable of. Even writing the bio for my speech made me realize that in a decade, everything in my life has changed. I am an Emmy-nominated actress, an entrepreneur, and an activist. Yet I have no formal qualifications to my name.
And just feeling like things and great things are happening to you and having to wonder if you actually deserve them or if it's just sheer dumb luck. And it really spoke to me in that moment, and it speaks to me continuously to this day. And to that, I want to say thank you, Maisie Williams. You were not only a phenomenal actress, an award-winning actress, and a deep and thought-provoking person. You're an entrepreneur galore who has helped give a voice to creatives all over with your Daisy app.
I hope to create a space where people can boast their art and creativity rather than what car they are driving and whether or not they bought it cash or on finance. In a world where literally anyone can be famous, I hope to inspire people to be talented instead. Talent will carry you so much further than your 15 minutes of fame.
You're a phenomenal person in that regard, obviously, but then your inspirational, your humbleness astounds me. Thank you for giving us a piece of yourself in that TED Talk. Next queen that we were talking about is literally royalty. Now I know what you're thinking. Yemi, Beyonce's not royalty. Think again. Everyone, probably actual royals, ask Meghan Markle, who I don't care how many times she renounces that title. She is still the princess, okay? It's a win for black people. We will take it. But Beyonce is a queen. Anyone you ask will tell you Beyonce is literally American royalty. And while Beyonce has made some inspiring speeches and written some dope music, including her world famous Lemonade album, which I purchased on vinyl, she does move me to tears often and frequently. But more so, she moved me to tears and action with her 2020 commencement speech.
You have arrived here in the middle of a global crisis, a racial pandemic, and worldwide expression of outrage at the senseless killing of yet another unarmed Black human being. And you still made it. We're so proud of you. Thank you for using your collective voice and letting the world know that Black lives matter.
First of all, she dropped a humble brag. She was like,
there may be more failures than victories. Yes, I've been blessed to have 24 Grammys, but I've lost 46 times.
She dropped a humble brag. Like, okay, flex on them. BTS is still fighting for one Grammy nomination. And you got how many? Okay, sis. But also, she truly is... When anyone thinks of Beyonce, you always think of the upper crust. You always think of elegance and fineness at its most. Even people who don't like Beyonce. My roommate hates Beyonce, like, because she just feels like she's overrated, which is blasphemy in my mind. But even people who don't appreciate Beyonce or don't like Beyonce's music recognize her and her glory and her story. And I feel like the fact that Beyonce shares her insecurities, especially when she dropped that Lemonade album, just shares her insecurities with the world, not only is this a smart money move, but is also just making her seem more human. And that's where the difference was. I feel like, I don't, like, again, like a lot of Beyonce speeches, like when I watched Homecoming, that's when I cried because I saw her struggle. I saw how she didn't like her body after she gave birth. Like, it's those pieces of Beyonce that you don't usually see, because to everyone, Beyonce is perfection. Beyonce is a queen. It's like trying to find fault with the Queen of England. Like, I don't maybe know, because I'm not British. But, you know, it's trying to find fault in God, essentially. I'm not saying Beyonce is God. Do not quote me on that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's trying to find fault in a flawless picture. And when she opens up like that and even talks about that, her many fails, you know, like the things that she doesn't do great. Because essentially in especially when you're Black, you always gloss over the things that people don't do great, especially when they're at the caliber of Beyonce. Like, everybody loves to be like, Beyonce's Homecoming was a revolutionary to the Black experience. Black is king is everything. But no one wants to talk about Carmen at hip hop, bruh.
Sweetness flowing like a faucet, body banging, no corset. Brothers wanna toss it, but they lost cause my game made them forfeit. Slicker than a porpoise and thicker than the horses. Carmen Brown got the whole town speechless. I stick to my thesis, I stick to my features. Brothers try to hold, but the game never reaches. And most of these cats are like the middle of peaches. I see you looking at, but what you looking at? You in the barn wanna twist me like a bottle cap?
Surrender to the cards you are dealt.
The cards never lie.
What I'm saying basically is that she moved me to actual tears in this speech.
Build your own stage and make them see you. Your queerness is beautiful. Your Blackness is beautiful. Your compassion, your understanding, your fight for people who may be different from you is beautiful. I hope you continue to go into the world and show them that you will never stop being yourself, that it's your time now. Make them see you. Every thought in your mind is powerful. Every word you speak is powerful. Every action you take has consequences for yourself and your community. You are the answer to a generation of prayers.
Like, yes, Homecoming, I watched Homecoming and I felt seen and heard, but when she made that commencement speech, it was not only uplifting, but an outcry. It didn't move me just to tears. It moved me to take action within my own life. You keep pushing. You keep asking for a seat at the table. Not even asking, you keep demanding a seat at the table.
Owning my art, owning my future, and writing my own story. Not enough Black women had a seat at the table, so I had to go and chop down that wood and build my own table.
And Beyoncé has been a big part of my childhood, of my womanhood. I grew up listening to Destiny's Child, and I found my independence in B-Day. And I found love with the song Through With It, and I found myself in the Lemonade album, and I found my color in Blackest King, and she has always been with me. Like I said, a lot of these speeches moved me to tears. Hers moved me to movement. It stopped me from trying to be stagnant and started me on trying to be great in whatever I do. I would never have taken that step if not for Miss Beyoncé knows herself and that specific commencement speech. Even though I didn't graduate in 2020, I feel like I graduated in myself in 2020, and I thank her for that. On this list, of course, we couldn't just have one TED Talk. We had to have, on this list, of course, we couldn't just have one TED Talk. We had to have two TED Talks. And with that being said, we are moving on to a visionary, someone who is a Beyoncé affiliate, I guess you could say, and was featured in one of her songs, and a brilliant storyteller, a colorful songstress in my mind. Not songstress, just the fact that she weaves words into melodies. She makes words jump off of a frickin' page, and it's amazing, and it's Chimamanda. And she has this TED Talk, and it's kind of like called, I believe it's called The Danger of a Single Story. This TED Talk spoke to me as a creative, where Beyoncé, yes, kind of spoke to me as a creative, but it just genuinely spoke to my soul because, again, 2020 was a rough year. This song spoke to me as a creative, as a creative, a Black creative, an African creative, where it tells the danger and the troublings of a single story. When you grow up only reading and believing in white characters, it's hard to imagine yourself as anything else but who you are destined to be, a doctor reading about the greatness and the wildness of others. And that doesn't have to be anymore, and I'm super excited about that. I didn't realize I could be a filmmaker. I didn't know I could be, I literally work in production. I didn't realize that I could be a person who helped those things on the screen come to life until high school. I was going to be a pediatrician. They're just saying I was going to be a doctor because I didn't know anything else to be. I didn't realize there were any other options until the world opened up in front of me. And I thank God every day that it did, because I would have been miserable and I probably would have killed someone, which is terrible, or gotten a malpractice suit or whatever. And I'm glad that never happened. But I'm doing something that is fulfilling and that is reaching me to my end goal, my happiness, which is amazing. But Chimamanda talks about the danger of a single story and how that could change you. And I'm not gonna lie to you, she's absolutely correct. While growing up, I read books like Twilight. I even have the entire set collection. I kid you not, I still have the entire set collection. To this day, my favorite story featured characters that weren't white, but somehow when I read them, I imagined them as white. My favorite book is The Cellist of Sarajevo. That is this book right here, The Cellist of Sarajevo. I love this book so much that I've marked it up from head to toe. Written in every corner and every crevice of it. Just writing my notes down on what I thought of every character. And this character is set, it's written by Stephen Galloway, in case you wanted to read it. It's set in a real place, Sarajevo, which is a southeastern place in Europe. But for some reason, when I read it, like, yes, Europe is still white, but it's like, these people have accents and everything. But when I read it, I imagined the white kids in my class playing the main characters.
What this demonstrates, I think, is how impressionable and vulnerable we are in the face of a story, particularly as children. I realized that people like me, girls with skin the color of chocolate, whose kinky hair could not form ponytails, could also exist in literature. I started to write about things I recognized. Now, I loved those American and British books I read. They stirred my imagination. They opened up new worlds for me. But the unintended consequence was that I did not know that people like me could exist in literature.
There is so much power in words, and there is power in beauty in stories. Whether it be the oral stories of the indigenous people or the written stories of the people who snuck away to write their history down. There's so much power in the art of the word that we take for granted every day. And she tells this tale and weaves this message and this morality of learning that you can be the hero in your story no matter your pigment. The fact that you're imagining white people does not mean your characters need to be white. And the fact that you're imagining different places does not, you just can't limit yourself like that. And even another author that I super love, Tomi Adeyemi, who wrote another one of my favorite books, The Children of Blood and Bones. I even dressed up as her main character for holiday because I love this book so much.
It's only you that keeps me going, no, no. It's me going. It's only you that keeps me going, no. It's me going.
I really like it. Just books means the world to me. But I couldn't find like a speech of hers, but I wanted to add just like a snippet in of what she said because in this section, because her and Chimamanda both are like great orators, I believe, and great storytellers. But there's this thing that she talks about her learning that she could ride that dragon.
I never saw authors who looked like me. I didn't see characters who looked like me. And so I actually, I spent like a decade in my room alone writing stories, but there were no black characters because I didn't think black people could be in books. So what really excites me about this and all the other awesome stories that are coming out right now is it's like we're all kind of fighting for the little versions of ourselves. Yeah. So it could be like, hey, little nerd Tommy, like write that dragon, but you can write it. Like, you know, you don't have to take yourself out of the adventure. So I'm excited that this is doing that for other writers, but just for all types of people who aren't used to seeing themselves.
And again, I do not want to cry on camera like a little bitch, but there's something about the glee in her face when she expresses about how she could tell that story of a girl who looked like her riding a dragon in this mystical world. Because not only do we limit ourselves in the realm of stories in general, but this world of stories and fantasy. Like, I remember watching The Killers in this fantasy sci-fi world on a Sci-Fi, ironically, the channel, and seeing the lead being a black woman. And, like, it's stuff like that that I didn't imagine as a child because it's dangerous to only imagine white people as the heroes in your story because for so long, history has done that enough. So I think that this speech really moved me in that direction to understand that I'm the hero of my own story, and that any hero I write can be anything I want. And it's actually one of the reasons why I wrote the script that I did, because I think that some stories don't need white people to be the main characters and to be your heroes. And I think I want to try and prove that with my writing. So that's kind of another thing that inspired me to write and film and do and be better and do better. So that's why I connect with those speeches, particularly Chimamanda's speech and then that quote by Tomi. Next is a double-parter. We have two stories by two women, two acceptance speeches. Essence does this thing where they give out awards every year, and both Tessa Thompson and Lupita Nyong'o won awards, and both of their speeches I feel like are sisters of each other. Lupita talks about her dark skin, and Tessa talks about her light skin and all the efforts that have been afforded to her because of it. But not only that, the struggles that she has went through, because she's every bit as a black woman as any other black woman. And it's just inspiring to see both of these women of different pigments but same essence speak truth and knowledge and greatness and movement to a room full of women who are reflecting our future.
Dear Lupita, it reads, I think you're really lucky to be this black, but yet this successful in Hollywood overnight. I was just about to buy Densher's Whitenicious cream to lighten my skin when you appeared on the world map and saved me. My heart bled a little when I read those words.
Hollywood has had an easier time affording black women with fairer complexions opportunities. This truth has, yes, benefited me, and it's also left me with a profound anger and confusion as to why I would be in the pursuit of gaining success inside of such ugliness.
There's just no other way to appreciate the stunning work that both of these women do, and there's just the way that they go about telling their stories is amazing and should be revered all around the world. I really think these speeches kind of move me as a person who is between both of their skin colors, darker than Tessa, lighter than Lupita. I relate on both ends because I have been called light skin, which I'm not. I'm brown. My sister's light, not brown. But it just speaks to not only the things that blockade black women in the industry, but also display this knowledge. They display this knowledge of colorism and how that is still a prevalent issue within the industry of Hollywood, of storytelling at all. And I think I truly appreciate that both of their speeches kind of play sister parts to each other, and both discuss the colorism within Hollywood and both admire and admire and appreciate the works of the women who came before them, and they both cite that, which is really amazing. And I kind of just really vibe with their speeches. It gave me good vibes. I listen to it when I go to sleep sometimes, like just to remember that I am woman, I am great, no matter what shade I come in. I am beautiful and phenomenal, and both of their speeches let me know that.
I don't think we are the token or a passing fancy in the ways that we once were. We together collectively speak to the majesty of black women, to the breadth of our complexity and nuance, to the differences between us, and to the sameness that we share.
That you will feel the validation of your external beauty, but also get to the deeper business of being beautiful inside. That there is no shade in that beauty.
The last speech is not a speech at all. It's actually the tag end of a sit-down late-night show. Amber Ruffin, who is a writer for the Seth Meyers show and a correspondent, and the best correspondent in my opinion of the Seth Meyers show, she has her own late night show on Peacock, and she talks about this incident in which a Senator Perdue apparently had mispronounced Kamala Harris's name.
Last week at a Trump rally, Republican Senator David Perdue mispronounced Kamala Harris's name. And worse, he did it on purpose.
Now, I took high offense to that as someone who has a very difficult name. My first name is Oluwayemisi, which is a mouthful and immediately tells you how African I am, which is what my mother wanted. But also gave way to scrutiny to children because, as gym class hero said, as cruel as school children. And with that being said, she talks about the names and how there are power in your names.
Here's a little history lesson for you. One of the only things Black people really gained control of in the history of this country is what we name our children. When Black folks got off slave ships, white people renamed us. So when we finally got some freedom, we decided to take our names back. We took our power back. So you get Keishas and Shanikas and Devantes on your roll call, and there is power in those names. And if you are willing to learn a white Eastern European name that has no vowels, but can't wrap your head around Kamala, you need to ask yourself why.
I like the way she speaks about it because Amber Ruffin is known to be hilarious in any scenario. Funny or not funny, she is funny. She will always be funny. But she took a serious route in this conversation. And yes, there are some jokes and some like but like for the most part, she's very serious and she explains to her, she breaks it down for the simplest of minds to understand that there's no excuse for you to be not being able to pronounce a name because you're just being racist and ignorant of a person of color.
Senator Perdue has worked with Kamala Harris in the Senate for 3 years. He knows her name, and he definitely knows how to pronounce it. I am sick of white people acting like Kamala is just a name you can't say. Guess what? If you refuse to learn someone's name because it belongs to a person of color, you are a racist. You know how I know? Because here are some of the names that white people always get right. Emily Ratajkowski, Timothée Chalamet, Saoirse Ronan, Cher. White people love to be like, your name is too hard. Please meet my daughter, Sinead.
When you have no problem pronouncing Schwarzenegger. Like, why is it that I was able to pronounce Schwarzenegger in elementary school? Elementary school, I knew how to pronounce Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even though it kind of sounds like a slur, but whatever. Like, I was able to pronounce that, but like, it took me forever to learn how to pronounce my own full name. That's ridiculous. She talks about it. She really just drives the point home. Makes a joke, obviously, about how her name is Amber Mildred Ruffin. But then she goes to point out the names of her writers and how you should you fix your mouth and speak their names properly.
We created names that fill up your lungs, your chest, and your whole mouth when you say them out loud. So fix your mouth and say it right. We have beautiful, melodious names that tell the story of being Black in America. Like mine, Amber Mildred Ruffin. Okay, that's not the best example. But my writers' names are Shantira Jackson, Dwayne Perkins, and Oluwademolade Adejuibe. I'm just letting you know that now, because when you try to talk to them and get their names wrong for the 40th time, we will know exactly where you're coming from.
And as someone with a complicated name, I really appreciate that. As someone as a person of color, and especially a woman, I really appreciate that. It kind of made worth all the blank stares I got when the teachers would look at the very beginning of the roll call and see my ABA last name and always go, we're gonna do roll call now. Please don't try and pronounce my name. Please don't try and pronounce my name. I might mispronounce your name. It's me. It's me. Please don't say it. I go by Yemi. Please don't say it. It's okay. I go by Yemi. It's fine. No, I'll try and say it. Don't worry. I'll try and say Yemi. There's no R in my name. I go by Yemi. It's fine. That's a real life scenario. With that being said, those are the inspiring speeches that I am going to bring up today. Obviously, there's a lot of inspiring speeches from the past. Maya Angelou, some of the greatest orators of our lives are speaking to the masses. But we are going to just stick to the 21st century for now. Maybe I'll do this again next Women's History Month. But I do want to say thank you guys for watching. Don't worry, I'm Yummy.com. Happy Women's History Month. I'll be back, so stay tuned, my internet friends.